Hey everyone, Kelly and I are back this week with a sketch challenge, and this is a sketch that I'm going to be using. You can see that it's a Sketchability sketch number 148 from Karen Gerber, and I've pinned this on Pinterest. I'm going to start off here with a piece of basil marshmallow cardstock here, some 12 by 12 cardstock, and I'm taking some rose gold Vicky Bouton glaze medium and just my palette knife here, and I'm just going to be adhering some of this to my cardstock. Now I have treated the cardstock with some gesso prior to starting the layout here, just because I knew that I wanted to use some mixed media on the background, because that was the suggestion in that sketch for sure, and I wanted to make sure that my paper was primed and ready for whatever mediums I decided that I was going to use on my layout here. So you can see that I'm just taking that glaze and I'm applying it around to some of the different edges of the layout, and I'm just kind of going to just really try to create that distressed look to this paper. And when I applied my gesso to the paper, I applied it quite thickly as well. So that also gives my paper, since the gesso is opaque, it also gives my paper a little bit of texture as well. I'm not really sure if you can see that well on camera, but just, I guess you can take my word for it. It does definitely add a little bit of texture to the paper. So when you're trying to create sort of like a textured look, that's one thing that you can do to achieve that, is just put your gesso on a little bit more thickly. Now I've just watered the glaze down a little bit, and I mixed it with a tiny little wee bit of pink paint as well, just a little bit of acrylic paint that I had in my stash. It's really pale pink. I'm going to be using the Amelia Rose collection from Prima, and I wanted to just kind of create sort of like these pink and rose gold tones. So I'm just taking some watered down paint there, like I said, in my paintbrush, and I'm adding some splatters to the layout. And then what I'll do is I will just take maybe even just a little bit more glaze, I think. I end up thickening that up a little bit and creating maybe just more of a rose gold than the pink paint splatter as well. I think I did that right there at that point. I'm also kind of trying to create a bit of a drip in that top corner there, since that was a suggestion on the sketch as well. And I just added a little bit of water there just to let that drip down. And then I'm going to take a little bit of time just to let this dry a little bit, so that when I'm working on the rest of the layout, I don't end up kind of, smearing that all over the place. And it does take this a little bit more time to dry. Remember that with gesso, your paper is not going to absorb any of the mediums that you're putting on there. It's meant to protect the paper, or to create a buffer or a base for whatever it is that you're putting on there. So the paper doesn't absorb any of that moisture. It takes it a little bit longer to dry. Now I'm going to be using this dark room door stamp, this red rubber stamp, which I really love. And I wanted to create really just a base for my photograph here that you can see I've printed in black and white in 4.5 by 3.5. I want to put this down with some Versamark ink. I think the color of the ink is smoky gray. And so I just put that on my block so that I can get this on here a little bit more straight. And you can see there that I am just going to push that down really well there. And that's going to create that really kind of distressed scripty background there piece. And I'm going to use that, like I said, as a partial base for where my photograph and some of my embellishments are going to go. And then my idea was I wanted to put a Shakespearean sonnet on the layout as well, just to the right of the photograph. And I felt that that scripty font on that stamp would kind of balance that off. Now I'm going to use, like I said, the Amelia Rose collection here to embellish with. And I'm going to take all of the little die cut pieces out, and I'm going to just kind of pick through them and find some that have a little bit of rose gold on them, and then of course the pink tones. And I'm going to use this 6x6 paper from the paper pad to back my photograph here. I just really love how it's kind of distressed, and it's got just those pink tones in it again. And it's just going to peek out around my photograph there. So I'm just going to take my Tim Holtz trimmer, and I'm going to trim that off a little bit just to leave a tiny little wee bit of a border around my photograph. And then I'm just going to continue with the layout from there. So that's basically where I'm going to leave that photo. Now this pattern paper is actually wrapping paper. It's paper that was left over from, actually my sister bought this at a really amazing store in Saskatoon. For any of my Saskatchewan watchers out there, viewers, subscribers, this paper came from Soul Paper in Saskatoon. It's my favorite paper store in Saskatoon. I love that place. They have so many fun things. If you've never shopped there before, make sure you check it out. It's on 20th Street and it is awesome. Anyway, this is wrapping paper and it's perfect. It's a perfect color of pink and it has that rose gold tone in it. So I wanted to use this as another mat for my photograph. My sister had wrapped Bailey's shower gifts in this paper and she gave me the leftovers because she knows that I am a paper addict. So anyway, it looks really nice as a mat on this photograph. So I'm going to just continue from there here now. I'm happy with how that's looking. And I go back to the sketch and there is a place that is a little cluster that's created on the side, on the right, kind of over towards the bottom. So I'm going to take some of the washi tape from Amelia Rose and I'm going to create a couple of layers behind some embellishments here over on this side. I'm going to put a couple of layers of that washi down and then I will use some of the embellishments from there. Now I decided that I wanted to leave I think what I did there was I'm just taking a longer strip and I don't think I tore any off of it, although you guys can see that a little bit better than me. When I'm editing, I always have just this really tiny screen to look at. So now I'm just taking some of the die cut pieces that I think that I want to use and I'm going to staple this piece over to the side here just to create a little more texture with the staples and thinking about what else I want to use over in that area for embellishments. Just trying a few things, few die cuts and little bits and pieces there to create the different lines and details. There was an indication on the sketch of a horizontal line going across this vertical and cluster area, which is a really neat idea. And so I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to use from the collection to create that horizontal line. And actually in the sketch, they also used a little, they used that area as the title area as well. And you'll see that I definitely am going to do that as I carry on here. So I didn't really like the black. I haven't used a ton of black so far and I wasn't really sure if I was going to. And so at this point I was thinking, what else can I use here that might not be quite as abrupt at this point anyway. So I might at this stage decide to use some black in other places and other areas, but I wasn't really sure yet and I wanted to see what else I had. So I found this little sticker on one of the sticker sheets and it says "A Beautiful Day," which I thought went along very nicely with the photograph. So I decided to stick that down. Now I'm going to go up diagonally on the layout across the photograph and I'm going to create a cluster opposite this cluster here in the top left area on the side. So I start off in the same way. I'm going to use some washi tape there and a die cut. I've torn the washi tape a little bit there and I'm also going to add some sewing to both of those areas. In fact, I've already added the sewing to that bottom right area. I'm going to, once I get this washi tape down, I'm going to add some sewing just with some white thread in my sewing machine to both of those areas. And I'm going to leave the threads hanging. I'm not going to pull them through to the back just because I think I like the looks of the texture of the thread hanging. This is a very distressed looking layout. Obviously it's not super clean. So it is, I thought just kind of would be neat to leave that extra thread hanging. So now I'm going to go back to the sketch and on the sketch on the photo mat, there's a couple of layers to the right that kind of look like tabs. So I wanted to kind of create that same sort of effect. And I just took that one die cut piece and cut it in half. And I'm going to stick that in, layer that in, and then put a floral piece over top. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a cluster on the bottom left of the photograph as well, because once again, that was suggested in the sketch. Now that butterfly is from the same collection. I just love that. I think it's gorgeous. And now you can also see that I've added that poem to the layout. Now all I did there was I just put some lines on the layout using my T ruler and a pencil. And then I just went in with a gel pen, a really fine black gel pen. It's a hybrid gel pen. If you want to know more about the gel pen, just leave me a question in the comments below and I'll remember to let you know what that is. Excuse me. And now I'm just taking a look here and seeing what else I might like to add. I'm just trying to think what I am going to do next. Oh yes, I think what I decided I wanted to do was create a little bit more distressing on the edges of the layout, So I decided I was going to glue a couple pieces of that same paper that I used to map the photo. So that really distressed looking pattern paper from the 6x6 pad. I really like that paper and I thought it would look really cool as a piece behind a tear on the side. So what I did was I just adhered a little strip of it behind, and now I'm just going to take and tear up the edges of the paper, and eventually I'm going to staple that down. So you'll just watch me do that. I'm going to do that in a couple of areas here, and I'm just showing you I also want to create a little more detail with the photo mat. So I put another little sticker in that photo mat just to kind of replicate those little tabs that are on the sketch. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the tearing here. So you'll just see me tear that up a little bit, and that reveals that paper that I stuck down behind. And I'm just going to take my little stapler, my little Stampin' Up! Stapler, and I'm going to put a couple of staples there as well. And I'm going to do exactly that same process up at the top of the layout above that poem using, just exactly that same method. So there you can see there's a couple of staples there. Remember, I put staples on the other side in that cluster on the right. And then I'm also going to put staples at the top where I do this tearing technique at the top as well. And it's just going to add a little bit more distressing. Kelly and I have taken a bit of a hiatus from Scrap the Challenge. I think the last challenge we did might have been in, I don't know, as far back as March or April. She and I have both been super, super busy. Lots of just really crazy life stuff going on, and with other commitments and different creative teams that we were both on and so on. It was just really hard to keep up, and we had to just kind of decide to let something go, and it was Scrap the Challenge for a little while. But we definitely have been staying in touch and are hoping to get back rolling again. Both still have lots of stuff going on. I'm in the process of packing up my house, and I know Kelly's got lots going on with her mom, and her son is soon going to be going off to college and so on. Lots of things happening. And so we hope to get doing more challenges for you here. We've had tons of really great feedback with our series, that's for sure, and we hope to get going again. Now you can see I just added the word love in a puffy sticker to the bottom of that right side cluster. And I'm just taking a look at some other little bits and pieces from the collection and seeing what else I might like to add. One thing that you'll see me pull out here is a piece of chipboard. It's kind of like a little stop sign shaped piece of chipboard that I think is really, really gorgeous, and it's got some rose gold detail on it, but I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with it. So when you see me pulling that out here, I want you to take a look carefully at the different places that I'm thinking about adding it, and I would love you to leave a comment below and let me know if you think I should add that piece of chipboard or if I should just leave it off, or what exactly I should do with it. I'd really, really like your help. I'm just going to put that little sticker underneath that little butterfly, and that says dreams on it. I really like that. The other little sticker that's by the photograph says love without limits. And now I'm going to find that little piece of chipboard and try to decide what I want to do with it. So it's not this piece. I decided not to use this one for sure. But it's this little geometric piece that I really, really love. And like I said, it's got the rose gold on it. There it is. You can see it below the butterfly. So that was one area I was thinking about putting it. I'm just showing you a close-up here of all the details that I've added, including the sewing and the distressing and whatnot. And now I'm just like, should I add this little piece of chipboard or not? I'm really liking how the layout looks, but I feel like this would be a really great little accent to add. So I'm not really sure where I want to put it. So that's an option. Or I could put it up a little bit higher, closer to the butterfly, or I could put it up by the flower. Any thoughts, guys? Leave me a comment down below if you think I should add it, where I should add it, or if you think I should leave it off. I can just simply add that in. It would be super easy to do. Hey guys, that's it for my challenge. I am going to leave a link to Kelly's video and her channel down below in the description box. Make sure you check it out and leave us a comment and give us some more ideas for other challenges that you'd like to see us do here on Scrap the Challenge in the future. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll see you another time on my channel. Bye-bye.